What is going on? Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you are having a fantastic day and you are ready to beat the meta deck in Clash Royale. We've got some members of Full Attack facing what everybody is calling the current meta, and especially in tournaments. We see this in trophy pushing, but mostly in tournaments right now. It's this giant mini P.E.K.K.A. Ice Wizard. Well, I'll just put it up on the screen right here so you can see it for yourself. There it is with the poison and the zap spell as well. Musketeer, Elixir Collector. So we are going to see several different replays where we've got different decks that are defeating the current meta deck as it stands right here. The mini P.E.K.K.A. moving in, easily distracted by the cannon, and the tower is going to take care of it before it gets there. My advice, usually you'll notice that Gunshy is ignoring that Ice Wizard. I would agree. You don't need to waste the elixir to try to stop an Ice Wizard on one of your towers. It is almost always better spent somewhere else. And right here, Gunshy has gotten a Hog Rider and a Lava Hound to the tower at the same time. So a very unusual deck. Lava Hound, Hog Rider, getting a little bit of damage off on that tower. Not much. Both sides pretty much even right now as we go into the final 2 minutes. And again, what we are looking at here is an unconventional deck against a very conventional deck that you're seeing all the time. Gunshy has got a Lava Hound, a Hog Rider, and yes, a Miner in this deck. In addition to the Fire Spirits, the mini P.E.K.K.A. a great counter card for just about anything, especially Giants and Royal Giants. In comes another Lava Hound lumbering its way towards the tower. And ideally, Gunshy wants to try to get either the Hog Rider or the Miner in there at the same time, right on top of that tower. Right here, he's got to deal with a mini P.E.K.K.A. and a Giant moving in on the right-hand side. Drops a mini P.E.K.K.A. of his own. Again, that will make quick work of the Giant. The mini P.E.K.K.A. on the left-hand side also going to get distracted and taken out. The Miner did not last long. Might not have been a good use of Elixir at that moment. The Miner just vaporized as the Musketeer, the Ice Wizard, moved forward. So Gunshy's deck might be considered a timing deck in that you've got to get units in at specific times stacked on top of that tower. It is going to shine in the final minute when you've got double Elixir. Here comes the Hog Rider. It pushes a Knight right into that tower. The Zap spell only momentarily pauses things as that Hog Rider is almost going to finish off the tower before it finally goes down. The cannon and the mini P.E.K.K.A. easily taking out the Giant. Fire Spirit's extremely flexible. Get rid of that mini P.E.K.K.A. and another Giant on its way in. The Knight, I have to call this one of the most underrated cards out there. You don't see the Knight being used that often. He sneaks in another Hog Rider. The zap comes too late. The tower goes down, and with only 20 seconds remaining, this meta deck is about to get meta crushed as Gunshy's very unusual, to say the least, Lava Hound Miner Hog Rider deck is going to take the W, 1 crown to 0. The final seconds countdown. Big push coming in on the left-hand side, but no chance of getting to the tower in time. So Gunshy definitely not holding back right there. Gets everybody in there, gets that tower down with really just the Hog Rider getting through. The Lava Hound, kind of like a Sparky. It causes players to focus on it, to worry about it, when maybe it's not the card that's necessarily going to be working on the tower. And speaking of Sparky, here it comes, Freak Show bringing a dirty Sparky Royal Giant, sorry I had to say it, Sparky Royal Giant deck to the battle along with several other cards. What do you know, he's got 8 cards in this deck, that is amazing. But no, let's watch as Freak Show deals with the meta deck with his Sparky, dropping it right off the bat, right after the Elixir Collector, sending Sparky in. As we've seen so many times, defensively early, offensively late is ideal for that Sparky. The poison spell getting okay value. It does damage the Elixir Collector, tower, and Sparky at the same time. Now the Princess and the Musketeer will work on finishing that Sparky off, but not before Sparky annihilates both of those units. In the meantime, the Royal Giant has gotten in on the left-hand side and kind of sneakily gotten in there and taken about 1,000 hit points off that tower. There goes the Princess with the arrows, and well done. Freak Show using the Sparky as a distraction, causing his opponent to have to focus down that right lane. He sneaks in the Royal Giant on the left lane and gets a big advantage early. Now his opponent is double pumping, so it's probably a good idea that Freak Show puts one down himself. He does have it. Again, like I always say, if they are going to double pump, you've got to either damage a pump or be pumping yourself, otherwise face falling way behind in elixir, especially in the last 60 seconds. It looks like Freak Show is ready to go with another Sparky, this time down the left-hand lane, and that's an ideal counter to the Giant and any other units that happen to stack with it, as it's going to discharge and do all sorts of damage. Nope, it's not, because it got zapped. Alright, so the poison and the zap spell together working on Sparky, but like I've said time and time again, remember that a unit does just as much damage at 1% health as it does at 100. And here comes an unhealthy Sparky that nonetheless is going to get in, blast those guards. The guards go down thanks to the minions, and here it comes, almost down, but they're just enough to take down the tower. One shots that tower out of the way. Turns out the Royal Giant not even needed the Sparky, did it all by itself. Now the Royal Giant is down, the Mini P.E.K.K.A is down as well, and this opponent not looking good right now. The arrows get rid of that princess. Again, that's something you don't see that often, arrows in a deck these days. Most people bring zap, but we all know that's not enough to one-shot a princess. Again, this time Sparky is on the defense, gets in there, helps get that Giant out of the way. There's really no other single card that can so quickly stop just about any push. Thousands of hit points. Obviously, anything that is stacked up on that tower is just going to get annihilated when a Sparky discharges. Here, the Royal Giant doing the cross lane action, working on that right tower, but it's not going to be necessary. Freak Show holds his opponent off, time runs out, and he grabs the 1-0 win against the meta deck. Alright, next up we have Matt, also from Full Attack, facing another meta deck, but this time the Ice Wizard has been switched out, and in its place is a Miner. Everything else remains the same, and you'll notice that Matt has a pretty unusual deck again. Goblin Barrel, Lumberjack, Miner, and it'll be interesting to see if he can't get this in, because again, it is a timing deck like you see right there. The Miner getting in, distracting, while the Goblins get the bulk of the work done. And quickly, we're 30 seconds in, and the very first push from Matt gets about 1,700 hit points off that tower. Now he takes down the Mini P.E.K.K.A, doesn't quite get a shot in. Poison down the right lane, the zap spell, stalling those units in the poison. You've got to think about that. The zap works so well. It works synergistically with a poison spell because it stalls those units for that extra second inside the poison, lets that damage take its toll. Right there on the right hand side, once again a timing drop. The Mini P.E.K.K.A and the Goblin Barrel doing a good job, and you've got major damage on both towers. The left tower is about a zap spell from going down, so Matt looking really good right here in the final 2 minutes. Even though his opponent is going to start to elixir pump, Matt not worried. He's got that Miner for direct damage, the poison spell as well, and here comes his first use of the Lumberjack card in this battle, working its way down that right-hand lane again. So much has to do with timing right here, trying to get other units in at the same time as the Lumberjack goes down so that they can be enraged. Right here doesn't quite work out. Maybe one Goblin gets one shot in, but all of the damage from the Miner and the other units just about finishes off that right-hand tower, and now Matt sitting prettier than ever before. Even though he is about to lose a tower, both of his opponent's towers are just barely standing. So as we approach the final minute of this battle, it may look like Matt is way behind, but he is so far ahead. He just needs to remain calm and defend that left lane tower, as he can very easily directly damage both of these towers. There it is, the Goblin Barrel and the Miner. A little bit of overkill. Get in there, wipe out that right lane tower. About 3 elixir wasted right there, and that could cost him as a big push coming down the left-hand lane. You've got all sorts of stuff. Poison spells from both players. The Giant, the Mini P.E.K.K.A just about to get there. The Lumberjack drops his rage, trying to help defend that tower, but it is badly damaged, under 1,000 hit points, and about 30 seconds left. Matt right here said that he went ahead and said, let the guy take that second tower because I'm going to 3-crown him because I'm trying to get to my crown chest. And that is exactly what happens. The opponent comes in with the Giant right off the middle. I hate that drop right there, but it's the way the game is set up. The Miner gets in there at the same time, and as the final seconds tick off the clock, his opponent is going to get that tower down and tie things up. We go into overtime, 2 crowns apiece, and Matt is actually behind on hit points to the King's Tower, but check it out, in moves the Miner. A badly damaged Lumberjack is going to enrage. I would have liked to have seen the Goblin Barrel a little bit later, because if that Lumberjack falls while the Goblin Barrel is still up, that's so much damage. Instead, it enrages some Goblins. Works out pretty well. All of the units get taken out. Another Lumberjack, and now the Lumberjack is going to be right there next to the Miner, and together they are going to be enough, even without the Rage, to grab the 3-crown win against another version of the meta deck. So I have to say, I see so often in social media people asking for a good deck for a certain arena, but it really comes down to more of the player than the deck itself. It's how you play those cards. There are so many different decks that will work if you play those cards correctly. So as always, thank you guys so much for sticking around, for subscribing, for hitting that thumbs up button, as I know you will. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I hope you come back tomorrow and we can all enjoy a few more full attacks. That didn't sound right. Full attacks.
Gallydon, use your announcer voice. Come on. You know you want to do it.
Why, Peter, I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. But thank you just the same for closing out this episode like you always do in an obnoxious fashion.